Holyoke, Massachusetts, at the Whiting Street Reservoir. We're at the stop that's before going in. So this is the new entrance road, has in 1964. And up there you see a gate system. It's open now. This year they're working on the new spillway. So in the year 2023 they've closed off going all the way around, but you can still go halfway around and come back if you want to. Now, what was here was the reservoir had 3 tiny reservoirs and 1 enormous reservoir. So the enormous reservoir was a storage reservoir for water made in the year 1888, ready for 1889, and not using water to 1890. Now, if you go up this road and go around the reservoir, you'll come to many, many stops. So I've made a lot of stops on purpose because there's a lot to see around this reservoir, both outside the reservoir because there's the entertainment district, and then inside the reservoir and how it functioned. For instance, you'll see a small reservoir in there that has a dam left only, but its reservoir is gone. It's called the Intake Reservoir Dam. You see the big Whiting Street Reservoir Dam and reservoir, and that was used for about 100 years to get water out of it. And then they finally closed it because the water had too much sediment in it. So there's a lot to learn around this reservoir. I had to go through all the annual reports of Holyoke for 100 years to figure out what was going on. It's not very obvious. And so I'm glad when I do it. It took a lot of work. So we're going to show you at this interactive stop all the 4 points. And this is the point south, and this is the point you should walk in on. And if you do it any year after 2023, you got to go around the whole thing because they're going to open up, the spillway work will be done, and you'll be able to walk around. All right, so next point, we're going to be looking in that direction. Okay, in this direction here, we're looking where the road is now, has in 1964. This is not the original entrance road. And I'll show you the original entrance road on a couple stops. It's still walkable part of it, but you're seeing Interstate 91 in front of you, and this disrupted the entrance road. They had to change it. Also around this area, the Interstate 91 changed where the golf course was, and now the golf course is much more closer on many of its holes to the Whiting Street Reservoir itself. Now, up this point also came the trolley system. The trolley came from Holyoke up this road, and what it did, it came up this road and into Mountain Park. And we're going to show you one of the loops of this stop and how it went in. But the trolley bed is still there if you know where to look. There's 10 buttresses left. The buttresses are one of my stops, and you get to see exactly where the trolley came up to this very special place. This was a trolley park area. Also up this way were the 2 road entrances. In the beginning there was 1 road entrance we'll show you at one stop, but then later was another road entrance that was another stop, and it came in 2 different directions from Northampton Street. One direction was for people approaching from Northampton into Holyoke. They would come up a road that gave them good access. The other entrance road was from the other direction from Holyoke coming into this park, and they both met out in the woods in that direction. Okay, now we're going to go walking up to the next place.
Right here.
Alright, so we're still at the main entrance of Whiting Street Reservoir. We're looking this time towards the north, and this is where the access road to the alpine area of the Mount Tom ski area. And down here was the alpine slide, the water slide, and of course the alpine runs. It had existence from 1960 to 1998, so it existed that long. And what it did, it allowed people to get up to that alpine area and enjoy themselves. I told you this was the entertainment section for Holyoke. It had a golf course around it, it had the Alpine, it had a trolley right up to the top of the mountain. So there's a great deal of wonderful things for people to enjoy themselves on. Plus, there was the reservoir. So not only is this a tour of the reservoir, it's a tour of all the entertainment sections around it. Okay, now we're going to go to the fourth. This is to the west. And what you see up this beautiful run, this was a place where the main drag of the Mountain Park Amusement Park was. So people would park in this area and they would go up to the amusement park. And they would have the ability to go on roller coasters, merry-go-rounds, little miniature jets, dodgems, and also you had all the food consoles. And up here at the Mountain Park Amusement Park from 1929 to into 1989, you had an Art Deco park. Before that, though, before 1989, I'm sorry, from 1929, there was here a park, but it was.
What's that?
You
Yeah.
And from 1895 to 1929, you had here a park. It was a trolley park. The trolley would run from downtown Holyoke right up through here, and people would get off and enjoy themselves in this park. And it wasn't yet an amusement park. It was a place they can get out and use picnic tables, walk around. They had a big boulder in the middle of it at one point, and people would love to climb that. But then they started getting some rides in the early 20s, the roller coaster, the carousel, and it turned into, in 1929, finally, a true amusement park. Now, also up this road, the trolley, sure, would come in and then go out to the north and go to Northampton. It wouldn't come back this way on one run. What was up there was another station. And the trolley passengers can get off, they can stop and stay inside the park, but if they wanted to, they can take a short spur run of the trolley up to the base of Mount Tom. And what they were trying to do was go on a tramway to the very top of Mount Tom, because up there was an observation house with observation decks open during the daytime. And it was thousands of people would use that from 1895 into about 1930. They would go up there on the top of that mountain and observe the area around it. So it was a three-part trolley run from downtown to the park, from the park on a spur run only a quarter mile long to the base of the mountain, and then on a tramway up and down, stabilized, up and down the mountain in order to get to the top. But it was worth it because you had great views on the top there and people loved it. In fact, there were 3 houses up there. The first one burned after a few years. The second one burned after a few years. The third one stayed a long time. It was a very gorgeous place and people loved being up there. So this, again, is the entertainment district of Holyoke from about 1890s into the 1980s. As you go around the stops, you'll see many paths. It was also the connection to the New England Trail or the Monadnock Trail. So there was hiking, golfing. There was walking around the reservoir. There was going to a park, going to a observation deck on a mountain, going to the Alpine area. And all that changed drastically, so it's hard to observe that now. But this is one of the greatest spots to be in Holyoke. Thank you.